You are listening to the Novel Writing Podcast, episode 166. I'm your host, Colleen Mitchell. Grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. Today's episode is a primer on how to actually finish that first draft. Many new writers, or even veteran writers, struggle with finishing first drafts. If that's you, know that you're not alone, and there is an easier way to approach first drafts than you think. New writers typically follow one of three paths. First path is you start just writing without any idea where the story is going, who the characters are, or anything about the theme, the plot, the structure, or the arcs. I call this discovery writing, but others call it pantsing. This method makes it hard to finish the first draft because you don't know where to even aim the cursor, let alone how the story ends or how to get there. The second way is you spend an inordinate amount of time crafting a complex world, characters, plot, and outline the heck out of it, only for the story to go off the rails on page 2, and you feel like all that prep work was a waste of time because now this new direction is more exciting. This method makes it hard to finish the first draft because you keep reworking the outline or the first chapter or your world building for months or even years with practically nothing to show for it except a lot of frustration, scrapped storylines, and maybe a little resentment for how often the characters keep making hairpin left turns. Or the third way is that you have a healthy balance of outlining versus keeping room for those unexpected plot twists, but it takes you way longer than you thought it would because of various interruptions, whether it's work, family obligations, ebbs and flows in your motivation or inspiration for the story, stuck points when you're not quite sure how to write yourself out of a corner, or you run out of ideas and struggle to come up with new ones. This method makes it hard to finish the first draft because there is a half-life of excitement, and the longer it takes you to finish something, the more likely it is that you're not going to finish at all. Starting books is easy. Finishing books is something else entirely. All three of these typical paths for writers share one common theme. You don't finish the first draft when you thought you would, if at all. And that's a big problem for writers. Many of us have dreams of writing full-time, but if something as quote-unquote simple as finishing a first draft takes so long, some of us might rethink if that's even in the cards. So that's where our method comes in, and it's basically codified in the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge, which you can sign up for using the link in the description. First drafts are a combination of knowing what you're going to work on before you work on it, and then basically sprinting to the finish line, while at the same time being flexible enough to go with the flow of the story as it unfolds. It's called a challenge for a reason, but hundreds of writers have used this method to actually finish first drafts. Now, I do want to address the fact that our method is a challenge to yourself for a short period of time so that you can make more progress in 2 months than you would if left to your own devices. The point of shooting for 50,000 words is not to sustain that pace forever, but to break through the barriers that are keeping you from making it to the end of your book, or even to the middle if you're writing a long one. Writing fast drafts is not for everyone. Some stories need to marinate as they come out, but in our experience, if you know that you want to write a book, it's likely that the story has been on your mind for a while, and you've just been unable to do it justice for whatever reason. A fast draft is not a clean draft. There's a reason we end all these episodes by saying that the first draft is supposed to be garbage. But you know what a fast garbage draft is? Complete. It's a starting point for making it better. First drafts are not meant to be published the minute you write the end. We've talked before multiple times on how the only job of the first draft is to exist, that you can't get to a final draft without the first draft and so on. So to finish your first draft, here's what you need. Number 1, a story you're excited to tell. Whether you begin with a world or with a character who has a problem, being excited to tell that story is the core of what's going to carry you through the last page. Number 2, an outline. Yes, even if you're a discovery writer and you're going to travel down uncharted paths when writing, you should still have some kind of an outline, even if it's just a beginning, a middle, and an end. Number 3, a timeline and a word count. Obviously, we recommend the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge, which is designed to help you write 50,000 words in 2 months, and 50K is about the minimum to be considered a novel. But any timeline that is short enough for you to commit to will work. And we want this timeline to be both realistic and challenging. That means picking something you can do if you push for it, but not so outrageous that there's no chance you'll make it. For example, don't say you're going to write 100,000 words in 2 months. That's an insane word count every day that you're almost guaranteed not to hit if you've never successfully written at that pace before. You also need to keep in mind all of your other responsibilities. And number 4, commitment to finishing. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be with the 2 months of the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. If you get most of the way there with the challenge, but then it takes you another 2 or 3 months to actually reach the end, who cares? But you won't finish unless you're committed to it, and that commitment is what will make it possible to carve out time during the week to work on your book. The 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge is specifically designed to get you over feeling stuck about where to go next in your draft, and not just make it through the messy middle, but all the way to the very end of your manuscript. So what are you waiting for? Check out the link in the description to see if the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge is right for you. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining me, and remember, the first draft is supposed to be garbage. Thanks for listening to the Novel Writing Podcast. If you're ready to stop struggling and start finishing your novel, check out the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. It's a step-by-step program designed for solo writers to complete their first draft with clarity and focus. Visit the link in the description to learn more.